All right, I think we'll start since we have a manageable number of folks on a single screen. Why don't we give you a second to just share with your colleagues who you are and what district that you're with, and I'm going to call names in the order that you are now on the screen. So in my upper corner, I've got Allie Porter.
Hi, I'm Allie. I'm with Talmadge City Schools at the middle school.
Very good, thank you. Anne, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Anne. I am from Upper Arlington and I teach at Greensview Elementary School.
All right, thank you. Mary Rakowski.
Hi, Mary Rakowski, principal at Evening Street Elementary School in Worthington.
Welcome.
You brought a team this year, didn't you?
We did. It was great.
Great.
And I'm in an exotic location, my office.
I see you have an exotic animal in the up on the shelf there too. Nicole.
Hey, I'm Nicole Sherman. I'm from Olentangy Local Schools and I teach 3rd grade.
All right, thank you. Fred?
So when we talk about teams, I have to mention Olentangy had about, I don't know,
over 60.
Over 60 people, I think.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to call it and Talmadge had a good number too, Upper Arlington, but this might have to be called the Olentangy Summer Institute Retreat.
We're coming for you.
Yeah, Fred. I've got a screen that says Fred Town.
Oops,
you're muted.
That must be Matt Caputo, elementary principal, Fredericktown Elementary School. Yeah.
Thank you. And I've got one that says Carmen Metzger.
Hi, yes, that's me. I'm Carmen Metzger. I teach 2nd grade in Worthington.
All right, welcome. Julie.
Hi, I'm Julie Fitzgerald. I teach 1st grade in Bexley at Cassingham Elementary.
Great, thank you. Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Contini, and I'm a reading specialist with Buckeye Valley Local Schools.
All right, Chelsea.
Hello, I'm Chelsea Coleman. I teach high school math in Reynoldsburg at Summit Campus.
All right, very good. Sarah Pence.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I teach 3rd grade at Evening Street Elementary in Worthington.
All right, Wendy. Can you unmute, Wendy?
She's trying. How about we'll come back to you, Wendy.
Carla, go ahead.
Carla Little, intervention specialist at Upper Arlington High School.
All right, Jason.
Jason Blair, elementary art in Dublin City Schools.
All right,
and one of the two responsible for all of our surprise and delight activities or decorations at the Summer Institute.
Yep, absolutely. Julia.
Julia Gomez, Jones Middle School in Upper Arlington, Spanish 7th and 8th grade teacher.
Very good. Susie?
Susie Farrell, St. Pius in Reynoldsburg. I teach advanced math and enrichment.
Is that your sound quality or do you have a bad throat? That's
the sound quality.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm better that than severe laryngitis.
Yes.
Okay, Bob.
I'm Bob Keep from Bexley City Schools.
Very good. Jessica.
Jessie Rick. I teach 6th grade social studies at Olentangy Orange Middle School.
Okay. Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Rodabaugh from Talmadge Middle School. I teach 7th grade language arts and social studies.
Okay, and Wendy is begging our understanding that she's got a tough connection, so we won't count on her for a sound intro.
It says Bernay J.
Yeah, hi, I'm Jennifer Bernay, and I teach kindergarten at St. Pius in Reynoldsburg.
All right, thank you. So you can tell from the folks on the screen that there were lots of different school districts and schools represented. We had about 39 people in the first Zoom from the grad class, and then we have you folks today. And so we've got a large number of people taking advantage of the grad credit option. In addition, of course, there were some other schools and districts that you don't see reflected here today, but we love to grow this event. So as you are in contact with colleagues, both within your district and in other places, please feel free to spread the word for next year. And it does indeed look like there will be a next year. We don't know the dates yet, but we're excited about bringing number 3, if at all possible. Wendy, did you want to try your sound again to say hello?
Okay, hi, I'm Wendy Violet. Can you hear me now?
We
Absolutely.
can.
Yay! I'm from Talmadge
Yay.
Middle School, and I work with Allie and Lindsay.
All right, terrific. Glad to have you. The purpose of our session today is to help you reflect about the Institute experience on 2 different levels. Well, 3 levels, I would say. Actually, we're going to do a sensory level using visual images. We're going to do an emotional level using some prompts that are designed to get you back in touch with the spirit and feeling of the event, and then to reflect also on a level of professional practice, to think about the things that you can take away from the 2 days we had together and really carry forward into your practice as a teacher or administrator. So we're going to start with the sensory level, and I'd like you to just take half a minute and really place yourself back in the Institute setting, and think about what it looked like when you walked in, what it looked like when you entered the PAC, what it looked like when you circulated through the building for a variety of experiences, what it looked like when you walked into the field house for the campfires. Just thinking about it visually and trying to recapture an image that will probably stay with you for a while, a picture in your head that you can think about fondly as a way to recapture some aspect of the experience that you valued. And we're going to get half a dozen or so examples where you just quickly say, you know, with that prompt, here's the picture that came to my mind. And we'll go from person to person for a minute or 2 getting those, and then we'll follow that up with something visual of our own that we have to share with you. So who would like to begin? What's a picture that came to your mind when I gave that description or prompt? Yeah.
I like the surprise and delight of like walking into the neon room. I just was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I'm actually getting the lights and the streamers for my room. So when the kids come in, they'll see that. I just thought it was like so cool, just a different like sensory like overload, like this is pretty amazing. So I thought that was really cool.
And once again, we say thank you, Jen Leahy and Jason Blair, because that was really their brainchild, and lots of fun for the high school kids to help put together as well. Okay, so one visual image, the neon setting, the black light adornments walking into the PAC. Next person.
I thought that this first off, the school's gorgeous. Okay, it's a beautiful facility, brand new facility and such. But I loved that concept and the feeling that you got when you walked into the campfire, the camping, and had the campfire chats. I took several pictures because I have grade levels will do their Camp Skeeter in first grade and their other camp in second grade. And I sent it to them. I'm like, just kind of help to charge you up. And yeah, the visual there, it was just great visuals. And I did send them pictures about that event. It was pretty nice.
Thank you. Jason, when you talk to Jen, if it is an easy thing for one of you to give step-by-step instructions to how you put that together, we would put it out through Sketch and people would welcome it because we've been asked half a dozen times already. How'd they do that? That would be great. Okay, so we have the blacklight entry to the pack. We've got the campfire feeling. What else you got?
Can I hop in? Julia.
Uh-huh.
So I liked both of those things. Those were the first two things that came to my mind. But since they were already said, I really enjoyed the music at the beginning. I can't remember the name of the singers, but the group there was just very like energetic, and you just walked in and just felt the energy and the excitement, and even the creativity and changing the lyrics around a little bit. So that was a lot of fun.
Thank you. The name of the band is Rough Cut. So now there's more than one band called Rough Cut, we have discovered. So when you're trying to follow them on Facebook, we can point you toward the right one. But you may have picked up, we were missing a band member. We originally connected to Rough Cut because the other band member is a teacher at Greensview that we have known for years and dearly love. And she was in surgery that day. And so we hope the band, if they're available, will be back next year and hopefully intact with Christy as a part of it. Somebody else.
One thing I loved was how when you walked in, you know, the name tags were right there. The folders were ready for you. Breakfast is ready for you. It just felt very thoughtful and organized and like, okay, this is not going to be one of those ones where I come in and everyone's going to be scatterbrained.
Thank you.
And that was thank you to the ESC.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if it had been left up to us, it probably would have been a little more scattered. They do it. Not only do they do a great job, but it means so much to them to make that a great experience.
And I can remember some of the people on our steering committee for the very first year saying, I want to be associated with an event where nobody's standing in line. And so we did what we could about that. Yeah. A couple other hands were up.
It's about right. I just thought the end with David Brown, that is an image that just stays with me. And I really felt like, oh my God, I'm in a room with like-minded individuals. And that just felt so good that we didn't even know each other. And we were standing there singing along and swaying along and just that community spirit. So that is an image that stays with me.
Thank you.
I have to say that would be mine as well. Because I was, you may not have realized it, but I was sitting at the back, like at the base where you start to go up to the second level. And because I was working the images on the large screen and so forth. And so to watch all of you from behind was a treat because, and I don't know if you noticed it, but David, I've come to learn that David's an introvert and he gets nervous when he does this all the time, but he said when he first starts, he's always nervous. And so to watch him kind of be a little nervous in the beginning and all of you kind of holding back in the beginning, and then it just like reached a crescendo to the point where it was like a revival almost. And it was when the keyboardist stopped and you were doing 3-part harmony. I don't know if you could hear it the same way that I could in the back, but it really was a choir and it was just a wonderful experience to watch.
It was like a revival, and I too, all evidence to the contrary, but the truth is on Myers-Briggs, I am a very strong introvert, but there I was dancing like a crazed woman. So
and we've got it on video, so I'll be happy to share it.
No. One other image. Yes, go ahead. That would be Brecca.
Okay, sorry, I got on here a little late. I'm Brecca Spar, I teach in Olentangy. And I have to just agree with you. I was trying to look up his name because this coming year we're teaching a unit on community and belonging. And I just kept thinking of the word connection that whole time. I was also towards the back, so I got to see everybody. And it just was a memory I will never forget. But I even took his story and I found a YouTube video with his story and wove it into our unit. And we're trying to find a way for our students to be part of the community and do something really amazing. But it was just a memory that will stick with me forever. It was really amazing.
Good.
And he does work with schools. So, you know, that might be something in the future, but we'd love to see what you end up doing with that. And
Yeah,
absolutely. He would love to hear it as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else who would like to share their image? I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, they didn't include me. I had a thought I wanted to share. So if you're wanting to come forward and add to this series of images, please do that.
I have a picture in my mind of Buddy Barry. And I just cannot stop thinking about his energy and what he's done with that school in Kentucky. I keep thinking about the 15% magical moments and 85% other stuff. And I keep using that with my colleagues and keep thinking about what can I make magical for my students this coming year.
And isn't it wonderful that he gives us the grace of that ratio so that we don't feel like everything 100% has to.
Right. I know. I feel like I can do 15%.
Yeah. There you go.
And we have faith that you can do more than that.
Absolutely.
But, and it's really interesting when you, if you weren't on the virtual visit that we did last school year for Eminence, and it'll be in November, but we sent Steve Shapiro there to interview and record a lot of what was going on in the school. And then we edited it so that it's about, I don't know, I don't know how long it is, but
40 minutes.
40 minutes. And you'll see a lot of interesting things as far as not just what they've done as far as leadership decisions, you know, what the administrators have done, but the teachers, you know, when you think about authentic learning, it may be magical 15% of the time, but I would say authentic learning happens a huge part of their school day and school year. And so we'll send the information out to you when that virtual visit is. It'll be in November.
It's the 15th. It's the day after my birthday, in case you're wondering when the cards should come forward.
and right before Ohio State beats Michigan, finally.
Oh my God, you have such wishful thinking. And the hat trick is going to be so embarrassing for you. Oh my goodness, yes. Moving on. Anybody else want to share their image before we share the video with you?
I mean, we can't forget about the polar bear and the penguin.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Thank you.
Yeah, we tried to make the best use of the penguins this time, but I have to tell you, so we're going to do some work with a school district up in North.
No, you can, yeah.
Well,
elsewhere in Ohio.
Well, it doesn't mean there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that they fit this,
right?
But we found out that their mascots were polar bears, and I'm afraid when we go, that's all I'm going to think about. I'm sure they're not, but.
All right, so two things. First, welcome Linda Amici. I saw that you got to sign on late, and she's from Westerville. And Shane, where are you from?
I'm from Olentangy, curriculum supervisor, formerly a trailblazer with Brecca and Jesse. So happy to be here. I was thinking about an image from Dr. Pledger's keynote too, and just when we all were able to recite, you know, we teach, and how powerful and simple that was to connect to our why of what we do.
Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
We edited a clip from, we agreed with all the keynote presenters that even though we were recording their sessions, that we wouldn't share the whole thing, but we have permission to do clips. And a principal that we work with is going to use it in their beginning staff meeting, the clip I edited for We Teach. If anybody's interested in that, just let me know.
Okay, so as you may have noticed, there were photographers and videographers running around during the Institute, and we had asked them to capture a string of images that we could use as a video, and we want to run it by you. This is not there are a few minor edits that will probably still be made before we call it final, but this is pretty close, and we hope you like it.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I used to do the concluding video by myself, and we had 2 videographers, a photographer, an editor, and a supervisor who put this together, and you can be the judge if it's better than probably what I did. I can guarantee you it's better than what I did.
I challenge you, use your passion to turn up the volume of your own voice. I challenge you to always remember that students need heroes, they need mentors, they need role models, and it's you. I challenge you to reimagine education, where everyone has a voice, where we listen to, learn from, and lead with. I challenge you to take time to reflect on your purpose and your passion, because it's the only way you're going to reconnect with your joy. I ask you to believe in the power of your voice.
So can I ask you to do one thing for me leaving this conference, is to find the toughest long shots in your classes and your schools this year, and I want you to bet on them. I want you to get a vision for what school can be, start twisting towards that vision, change as many lives as possible, and I'm gonna add one part clause to this. Bet on a long shot this year, they pay off the best. God bless every one of you.
So being able to sit with other educators, talk to each other, hear where we're coming from and what we're experiencing, it really helps boost our self-esteem and give us that ability to get back into the classroom and feel like we can do it again.
I think that the word that comes to mind is inspiring. It's been wonderful to hear from the different speakers about authentic learning experiences for our kids, and to start thinking about ways that I can create those experiences for our students and our staff for the upcoming school year.
We teach students from pre-K to college. Some bored, some intrigued, some disinterested, others deceived. Some criticize us for being too liberal, others condemn us for being too conservative. Understanding is what we strive to have, because we know we're giving all we have to give when we teach. We teach with all our energy. We think about our young people 7 days a week, day, night, awake, and asleep. Now that may seem pathetic to some, but it's because they have no idea where our kids come from, but we're betting our lives on what they'll become after we teach. We teach and ask God for strength, because in our students we believe. We believe. That's why we teach.
Your passion and your purpose has to be first in your life. Then you walk into that room prepared. You walk into that room ready to take on whatever any kid's got to bring to you. You can look and see that it works if you make it fun, if you make it engaging, if you find ways to break down those barriers and help these kids who feel like they don't connect to anyone else to understand that everyone in the room feels like they don't connect to everyone else.
So Sarah, I see you clapping. Tell us why'd you like it?
Just hearing like the snippets of the speakers and kind of some of those really passionate moments that they shared, and getting to rehear that, not just see it in my notes when I was scribing down some of those great quotes, but it just brought that energy back to life immediately.
All right, thanks. What are some other comments? What'd you like about it?
So much joy evident in the faces of all the people that were represented there. It was just brought you right back to that feeling of just great joy in being there.
What's interesting too is the guys that were doing the filming said they had so much footage of joy. You know, it's not like, you know, you could go to some events and you would just, on the cutting room floor would be the people that are disgruntled. And you could capture a spirit of joy and it not be genuine. But that was not the case here, and that was really gratifying. What else is helpful to you as in that piece as a form of reinforcement?
As I was watching, I was thinking about all of the different ways that we learn together and the different formats throughout the conference. So I love that time together in the PAC is represented. There were small group sessions or breakout sessions represented. There were panels, and it was nice to see all of those types of learning that we engaged in a short amount of time. So it was really cool to see that and reflect on how much we learned.
Good, good. Any other comments? Okay, now this is a piece that we're gonna, especially when it's in its very final form, it'll be pushed out to you through Sketch. You'll see it in newsletters and so forth. And, you know, like it's great for those of us that were there as a form of celebration and reminder. But also keep in mind that if you are trying to talk with colleagues who didn't make it this year about why it might be appealing to them, if you think it's an effective piece to share for building the spirit and the enthusiasm for next year, it's a piece that we can make available easily. The other thing that I wanted to say is it's striking that if we had taken the individual images that you all mentioned in the opening discussion, if we took those images and we put them together, we would have had very close to the same video, I think. And so it's nice to see that there is that alignment in what you felt and in what they captured. Sometimes in workshops, we use an activity called storyboard, where when we're trying to get a group to recapture an experience and reflect upon it together, we have them identify individual frames of a movie on Post-it notes and put it together in a way that makes sense to them to deliver a message. And so that is something else that we can make available to you if that activity sounds intriguing to you. We've got instructions for that as well. Thank you so much for starting off in that way. And I think by now you can tell that one of the reasons that we really think in reflection is so important is that it takes you beyond your own perceptions of what happened and allows you to put together the thoughts of other people and deepen your understanding and appreciation. So the collective outcome can be really powerful. And I'm sure that you will find that in your breakout groups that we will go into now. We're going to do one breakout group, come back together for a little bit of observation and insight about that experience, and then we'll do a second one. So the first one is recapturing the highlights of the Institute for yourself and each other on an emotional level. And I'm going to give you 3 prompts to use in your discussion with your colleagues. So you may want to either concentrate hard in your head or make a quick note. The first prompt is, I couldn't wait to tell people about. Okay, what was the first thing that you wanted to share with people who weren't there? You couldn't wait to tell people about. The second one was, I was moved or emotionally struck by. and complete that prompt. And some of these may overlap, and that's okay. And the third one is a feeling that will stick with me is a feeling that will stick with me. Okay. First, I couldn't wait to tell people about. Second, I was moved or emotionally struck by. And third, a feeling that will stick with me. The last time we put people in small groups and we allowed 13 minutes for this magical interaction, and it seemed to be perfect. So we will pull you back in 13 minutes. Have fun, play well with others. All right, folks, so we're going to do a little meta reflection here. I want you to think about how did it feel to you to be talking essentially on an emotional level about the Institute? Make some observations about your discussion, if you would. And there's a reason why I'm asking you that.
I'd say we all were talking about how we connected with certain speakers like Michelle with her poem, or like how what the feeling was in the room with the singing at the end of the whole conference.
Okay.
Just saying how like how we want to, like, one of the things was we wanted to make that feeling of togetherness, the vibes that were in that room at the end of the conference be something that our students feel in the class every day.
Okay, good observation. Very good. Somebody else, what else surfaced in your group, and how did the group experience feel to you?
I was just going to say how easy it was. It's so nice to, we easily all shared and felt same things. But Julia said something that, like, it's still sticking with me. Post-COVID, we had an opportunity to change education and we didn't. And like, I feel like we're still back into, oh, have you done your data dive for your CIP and blah, blah, blah. But we really had that opportunity for social emotional learning. And we're hearing, is that academic piece caught up with you? Because these poor kids missed these years. But, what about that emotional piece for our kiddos? And we really, that's important. And we really need to get back to that. But she was very insightful, I felt like.
Probably one of the a session or two to add to the Institute is some research, which I it's not where I like to spend most of my time, but we have some really good research videos now that show when kids are emotionally, socially engaged, their academic achievement goes up. Even in AP courses, they do better on the AP test when it's a more of a project-based, authentic learning experience. And I think we just have to be able to tell that story.
Yeah, and the research is about being socially and emotionally engaged in the academic work, that the academic work is real and compelling, and the kids feel like they're on a mission. It's not saying kids will do better on their test scores if you teach them yoga. Even though I'm not trying to knock yoga, but I'm saying, when you attend to the social emotional in isolation and then kids are plunged back into the same stress stuff, then you don't accomplish much. Your observation was interesting, Mary, when you said, well, that discussion was so easy for us. And the point that we want to make by having begun with visual images and beginning with reflection on an emotional level before we get to the deeper intellectual stuff about your professional practice, the reason that we began that is there's a lesson in that when we do reflection with kids. You all know that not every kid feels comfortable with complicated concepts and words. And when we ask them to reflect, sometimes it's easier to get into that process by starting on an emotional level. If we ask them in thinking about something special that we had done before the day before, if we ask them to first think about what they couldn't wait to tell other people about, that is a better question to begin with often than what's the most important thing you learned yesterday? They're not all ready to talk out of their minds about the most important thing they learned. But if we let them reflect first on what was memorable on the level of emotion and heart, you will get to the mind stuff. But beginning with the visual images, beginning with the emotional stuff is often a more effective way to get to the other. Now I'm curious, what were a couple examples of what you couldn't wait to tell somebody about? How'd you answer that question? You are very shy today, and this is unlike you. I know that there's good stuff in there.
One thing I said, it was very practical, but I attended a math teacher specific session with Kelsey Smith. And I feel like a lot of the time math teachers feel kind of like, oh, how does this apply to me? And she did a really great job of like making it super applicable to higher level math.
Yes, thank you. We were excited because we really had 3 or 4 excellent math related sessions. And you're absolutely right that we get a lot of questions about how do you implement this in a more authentic way in math. And we had some folks who did a great job with
So
that.
next year, we'd like you to apply to present.
Definitely. What was another example of something that you couldn't wait to tell people about?
I was talking to my group about, I attended a couple of Mari Jones sessions, and like just that I was able to walk away feeling like there were strategies I could use right away in the classroom, which you don't always walk away from PD feeling like that.
I'm so glad to hear you say that, and not a bit surprised. And believe me, our committee had to think through for a while. Could we really afford in the program budget to bring Mari and Michelle from California? Because, you know, they are paid like professionals, which they deserve to be, and the travel was steep. I think you would probably agree both of them were worth every penny, every penny we spent, for sure. Okay, so let's move then to the second breakout room, where we're going to ask you to reflect on professional practice and how that connects to the Institute. And many of you who have taken courses with us know that
Sorry.
When we work with folks on how to address reflection with kids, that we use the guidelines from most experiential learning and service learning folks, which is in your reflection, you want to capture what, so what, and now what. So the what is a way of getting grounded and anchored in what actually occurred. And people have a choice in what they isolate, but you're trying to identify the thing when you talk about what. In the so what question, you're trying to get at what made the item that they identified particularly meaningful. Why did they pick it? And then the now what question, which for professionals we think is really the most important, is what can you do with that now? If it was meaningful to you, how can you take that meaning going forward and have it make a difference for the way that you work with kids and ultimately have an impact on them? So here is your what question. This is easy. When you reflect on the 2 days, what was your most significant learning experience? That's the what. The so what is what made it important or significant to you? Why did you select that particular experience? And the third is what could you do next with it as a result, and how would that impact kids potentially? Okay. What, so what, now what? Anybody need those restated? Yes, I have a request there. Okay, the what question is, what was the most significant learning experience for you personally during the 2 days? The so what question is, why did you select it? What made it important to you? And the now what question is, what will or could you do next as a result of that experience? And as you go forward and make some change or adjustment, what might be the positive impact on your students? Okay, we good? All right, these are more complex questions. So the magic number of minutes this time is 18. We will see you in 18 minutes. All right, welcome back, everybody. So I'm going to ask you to take a moment to think about your last discussion from two perspectives, and then to consider sharing your thoughts with us. The first thing I want you to think about is in what way was it of value to you to share your insight about what was important to you and why? What was the value of your own sharing? The other question is, what was the value to you of hearing everybody else? What did you derive from that? What was the value added by hearing your peers? Let's take one piece at a time. What was the value for you personally to have to pick something out and share that with your colleagues? What'd you get out of that? If nothing, then I asked a bad question, and I don't think I did. So far, I'm still trusting.
I can share, Kathy.
Go
I was
ahead.
thinking about both. Is it okay if I answer both?
You can, sure.
So I think just intentionally pausing to reflect. I know for me personally, this week we've had New Teacher Academy at Olentangy. So, you know, we had the Summer Institute and it was awesome and all these ideas. And then had the weekend, and then we start welcoming new teachers back, and we have 196 new teachers at Olentangy. So, you know, it's been an exciting week.
Say that again slowly. So it's
196 new teachers.
Yikes.
Yeah. So great week, but then having this opportunity just to kind of reflect on the Summer Institute and, you know, what we personally took away from it has been great. I also appreciate hearing from others. Brecca reminding me of that great quote by Buddy Barry about bet on the long shot. That's something that I wrote down in my journal, and I had kind of forgotten about that until Brecca reminded me. So just having that opportunity to connect in that way was really powerful.
I appreciate that observation, and it's a good reminder to us that taking the time to reflect on an experience that we know is of value to ourselves or to your students, it is worth taking the extra time to do that, because important things happen, and as he pointed out, the rest of life sometimes gets in the way of your remembering and acting upon what you meant to do. And reflection takes you back in a pretty valuable way as a reminder of what's important. Who else would like to share? What was the value added of the discussion you were just part of?
I'll share. I enjoyed learning about what each person took from it. I thought that it was all different. You know, I was with a group that was all math, and not that I'm not math, but you know, I teach at a different level, and it was interesting to hear their thoughts and what they got from it and what benefited them. So it was good to hear that and recall why it was important to them. So
Good, thank you, thank you. Somebody else, what was the nature of your discussion? What did you derive from it?
I'd like to share something about value added, and it had to do regards to the social emotional well-being of everybody. Okay. Not just to, you know, talk about what impact the pandemic had, but not only the social emotional well-being of the kids and what they need and what trauma they might have gone through and such like that, and what they continue to go through and what some kids go through on a daily basis normal without a pandemic.
Sure.
But not only that, but the social emotional needs and the tools that teachers need and how to work with them, the kids, and the tools they need just to take care of themselves sometimes. Our small group, the one person talked about, I think I might have heard it before, but I like to hear it from a teacher, is we have to put our own oxygen mask on before we can help somebody else put their oxygen mask on.
Sure.
You know, we're no good to our kids unless we're taking care of ourselves. I'm no good to my building unless I'm taking care of myself. You know, that type of concept is what was talked about. I love hearing directly from the teachers, though. They don't know me from Adam. You know, they don't have to worry about. I might be able to ask my own teachers. They may not tell me, but you know, folks were like, it was nice in that small group to be able to talk with folks and then be totally open and transparent. So.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful jobs that I can imagine anybody having, and I'm so glad to have spent my career in education, but it's hard. And there are lots of things that can drain us, and there has to be a way to replenish all that so that we are there fully for the kids. When we talk about kids' mental health, you know, I'm sure you get the message from both Kathy and me that social emotional well-being is critically important. But we like to view it from two different angles. That certainly there are kids that need direct intervention and support when they're in crisis, but the prevention aspect that you can achieve through engaging instruction is really important. You know, when kids feel that they are doing something worthwhile and they succeed at doing something important, that goes such a long way toward reinforcing their social emotional development. And that's a huge part of the reason that we're such fans of authentic learning, because it works to the advantage in that way, for sure. And I saw you with your hand up a few minutes ago.
Well, I missed part of that because my noisy dog started barking behind me. No, I was just, you had mentioned something about, you know, just, you know, keeping on and, you know, taking care of yourself and taking care of the kids and all of that. I completely lost my train of thought, but one thing we talked about in my group was just, you know, hearing it again. I was there last year, and hearing it again is just helpful to keep pushing on to make those changes for our kids and for each other. And, you know, the authentic learning that we need to have is so important. And getting back to school, you know, you're back to, you're like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. And then next thing you know, you're like, okay, wait, I got to get this data, and I got to get this data, and I've got to have this meeting. And you get back into that routine of, you know, what's been, you know, normal for the last few years or all these years.
Sure. Your comment is a great segue for what I would like each of you to do next.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it was perfect. Just like we rehearsed. I want you to have a pen or pencil handy, or be ready to put this, use your computer or phone to record this someplace where you're gonna be reminded of it. But I want you to complete 2-sentence stems. The first one is, I want to learn more about. And this is on a professional level. I mean, you may want to learn more about race cars, but that's not where I'm coming from at this particular moment. I'm thinking about something related to your craft. I want to learn more about. And the other one is, by this time next year, I hope to. By this time next year, I hope to. Okay, now, there's a very good reason why I'm asking you to write these things down. The research about goal setting is very, very clear that when you record your intention, you're twice as likely to address it and accomplish it. That's a starting point. But furthermore, if you take that same intention and you say it out loud in front of somebody whose opinion matters to you, you're 4 times as likely to accomplish it. So what we're going to ask of you is that after this session, you find a colleague or a partner or a friend, but somebody whose opinion matters, a person that you trust, that you can say, you know, I know I'm likely to get distracted by a lot of other stuff this year, but man, I really have my sights set on attending to this particular thing in the next year. And would you please ask me about it periodically? Could we talk about it every now and then in a non-threatening way so that I stay on track? And if you can do that, you will get some mileage out of it. You'll get traction and be more likely to have things go the way that you would like. Now, not to put anybody under pressure at this moment, but are any of you able to identify something you'd like to learn more about or something that you'd really like to work on this year so that we have a couple examples? You go for it, Carla.
I want to learn more about engaging problem-solving lessons, thinking curricular tasks, and student voice in the math classroom. And by this time next year, I want to implement the Building Thinking Classrooms. It's a book, strategies, and strategies that I've learned at the conference in my classroom.
All right, good for you.
Like if you're a math teacher and you haven't read that one, it's a good one.
Good to know. I am not a math teacher, and there are all kinds of good reasons why. But I trust you that it's a good and important work for people in your field, and that is great. That's very specific. And the only feedback that I would give you is that if you feel at some point in the year that you need to break that into smaller parts, you should give yourself grace on that, because the way that you stated that was pretty ambitious, and I believe in your capability to do it, but I don't want you to feel bad if you don't get there all the way. It is okay to move in increments. But
thankfully, I have a co-teacher who's right on board with me and went to a conference about it.
Excellent.
Good.
Excellent.
And you know, I won't go into this at length because this could be a whole nother hour that we add to this, and I know we're not going to do that. But there are some things that we can do right away that changes the playing field. And when you said, I have a co-teacher that's on board, if at my last breath in education will be collaborate. Don't work alone. However you can figure it out. And, you know, we've seen examples of principals, you know, they've listened to their teachers and say, we have no time to talk with one another. And by giving a couple of days in the summer stipend and a couple, 3 or 4 half days throughout the school year, it's a miracle what teachers get done and enjoy working. But that's something that we have to teach or change in this profession. And so I love co-teaching. I love design teams.
And this is really the motivation behind why our organization is sponsoring innovation teams, or I-teams, which you saw promoted a little bit at the Institute, and we'll keep pushing out information about that. But the idea behind I-teams is really, really simple. It gives you people to work with and to encourage each other when you care about something in common and you'd like to move forward and you'd like some support and collaboration around that topic. There's no particular set of expectations in terms of coursework or scholarship, or, you know, there is no pressure. There is no boss. This is an opportunity for people to just cluster periodically online and talk about something that matters to them and try to help each other move forward. Sarah, I'm going to put you next here because you are going to head up an I-team, and I would love for you to just use your example so that people get a flavor for how grassroots it is.
Sure. I'm happy to share. Last year, I led an I-team called Thinking Through Third. And the goal initially was to gather other third grade teachers from around Ohio and just have a place where we could share, you know, a bigger picture, bigger, broader sharing range versus just me with my own team, because we've always been working together these past 4 years. We know the same projects and ideas that we have that we go to. How can we connect with others to get new, fresh ideas? And so it was a way to bring this authentic learning to life within our third grade standards. Now, that was kind of a narrow focus. I was hoping it could be super applicable to third grade with me. And when it was all advertised last year, I had one person show up. Not to say it wasn't valuable. That one other person who showed up every other month with me, we had wonderful dialogue and conversation. She was a new teacher to third grade, so I felt like I was able to share a lot of ideas. I got a couple ideas from her as well. So it was fruitful, and we both walked away with some good collaborations, some new ideas, and a new connection. That being said, I'm not sure that that's the specific route I would take with my I-team leadership this year. I'm still kind of mulling it over how I would want it to be formed. Is it a band of like primary teachers sharing some of their learning experiences? So, first through third grade teachers. I've worked with Jason Blair for the past several years now in different capacities. We worked on the Cultivating Creative and Civic Capacities project. So I was like, do we need an I-team for that? Because we had I-teams through that project. Do we need an I-team for that? Jason and I worked with other teachers. I think a few maybe familiar faces here on this call, Carmen and maybe a few others who did the Agents of Change Festival. And so we had a huge showcase in Dublin this May and showcase student work and authentic learning and how these kids are agents of change. Jason, do we need an I-team for that? Like, I don't know, my head is spinning with different possibilities of ways we can keep connected and share ideas and keep accountability for trying things, taking risks, and reflecting together to see how it goes.
Yeah, I hope that you all will give that some additional thought, because you all are already involved in some groups of innovative people who could engage other people from additional locations in some of the great stuff that you're doing, and I think that would be very cool. Now, the rest of you that are listening, you don't to be part of an I-team, you don't need to be the leader, but there will be a survey that will go back out, and if there's a topic that you're interested in, you just need to tell us something that you might like to pursue with the help of and support of other people, and we'll advertise to see if a group can form. So it can come strictly out of interest in being a member. You set your own schedule. You heard Sarah say they've met every other month for a short period of time online. So, I mean, it is low stress and high in support. So if that appeals to some of you, we hope that we'll hear from you in regard to that. Back to our questions. A few other folks, what was something that you want to learn more about, or something that you hope to accomplish within the year? Because those two prompts don't have to be related necessarily.
One thing I said was I want to learn more about incorporating student choice into rigorous, authentic projects, because I have a couple like really good projects, but students don't get a lot of like personal choice to make it really to get really invested themselves.
Okay.
And by this time next year, it's kind of related. I want to have an in-depth project for every quarter of my course. I teach integrated, so I've got like geometry, probability, algebra, and like after state testing, the fun stuff. And I've got 3 of those planned, but algebra, I'm gonna have to take some time to figure out how I can incorporate student choice and make that like a really fun project for them by next school year.
Chelsea, there's a lot of ways to get at that. And certainly, we do some coaching online, and we know some other folks that do that as well. But it occurs to me that the I-team that Kristen Bordage is going to lead again, called Keeping It Real, really focuses on good project development. And her group had a ball last year and worked on all very different kinds of things, but helped one another. And she is a terrific facilitator. So you might want to give that one some consideration.
And certainly one of our goals is that we can provide resources and experiences and any support that we can, that we don't wait until after state teaching or state testing to do the fun stuff, because it's the fun stuff, the authentic stuff, that will help them do better on the state
Yeah.
tests. We just need to find the resources and the experiences in which to be able to do that. And we'd love to have a group of math teachers to really look at that.
Anybody else willing to give us an example of something that you hope to learn more about or something that you hope to accomplish?
I hope to do more creative thinking about incorporating those moments of surprise and delight into my classroom. And then my accomplishment piece is actually doing it and beyond the reading, putting it into practice, providing those experiences for my students and making that 15% happen.
Last year, now I have not confirmed whether the same folks are going to launch their I-team again, but there was a surprise and delight group last year. And what those folks really did get on and talk about was the strategies that they had attempted between sessions in order to inject that energy. So even if they don't start one up, I think that's an easy one to facilitate and invite people to. So keep that in mind.
I will. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Anybody else? All right.
I'll go.
Yes.
A couple of people have talked about getting a collaborator with you, and I spoke about that in one of our breakout sessions. I think that's the most important thing that I'm going to need to be able to move forward. And I attended Jason Blair's session and was one of my favorite Jasons, so good job. And I think that's something that is manageable for me to be able to do by next year is I'm a first grade teacher and I'm paired up with a third grade class. The third grade teacher that I'm paired up with also attended the Institute. And so I think that the two of us working together to create Jason, and I would love for you to get your email so I can because I was trying to write down everything that I could, but I didn't get everything. But the gist of it is that the children will learn about each other and get to know each other and try to create an item to solve a problem for their buddy. So they're learning to be empathetic. They're also taking the perspective of somebody else, and they're creating something that has real meaning that will help another person.
That is terrific. And a natural next step there, maybe this year, maybe next year, is to engage the kids at both grade levels in working on something together for the common good, where they all feel empowered to have impact. And it can be done. We can help you with examples if necessary, but it's great when I love the fact that you have described your idea with a great deal of reciprocity, that it works both ways, and that the first graders aren't on the receiving end from the older kids the whole time, that it's a two-way street. But they could also figure out something that they all care about and make a difference together, acting together in that way. And that could be very, very cool. Anybody else like to share at this moment?
I just put mine in the chat, but I want to be able to figure out how to help the systemic change happen of centering this conversation, because the joy that was felt at this conference and the joy that's felt when we have authentic learning deserves to be happening everywhere. And I think it's really the key to teacher retention and teacher recruitment, and the key to bringing learning to life everywhere. So I guess when I think about what I want to learn is just the systems thinking and strategic shifts and how to make that happen both within and beyond my district.
There are two aspects to that at least, but one of the things that I would suggest, have you read the book What School Could Be already?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think having that many examples and then being able to take a step back in revisiting that book to figure out what are the patterns that supported change in those very, very different places.
Good idea, thank you.
That's a great book for the rest of you that are interested in innovation and sort of being affirmed that things can look different. It's a great book, and it's a book that you don't need to read in order, and you don't need to read it cover to cover, because it's really just chock full of real life examples of people in schools trying to do things differently. What else can we answer for you or provide that would be helpful to you?
Or confuse you with?
Nah.
Nah.
So in summary, you like the Institute, yeah? Yeah, good. You're gonna try very hard to see past those days that get you down a little bit with bureaucracy and bother, and keep your eye on the prize and realize that there are hundreds of people that you've met that have some of the same aspirations that you do and are serious about making things great for kids. Yeah. And you know which people to get in touch with right away if you're really feeling discouraged and you need a good joke or you need some encouragement. You have our emails, you have our phone numbers, and we're serious. The very last thing we ever want is for people that we have come to know and care about to get discouraged and down in the dumps and in the weeds about this stuff, because there is a way forward if we hang together. Got to do that. Anything you want to say in closing?
This is fun work. And so I agree with Ellen, when you get to a point where you need a boost, give us a call. We're always around to do that. But I think too is we don't have to change everything at once. Right.
But go ahead if you can.
If you can, sure, have at it. But I know. So Jason, this last year, I can remember him telling us that he asked his principal to schedule his art class that they combine 5th graders with 1st graders. Was that right? Tell us one impact, one positive thing that came from just doing that one thing, Jason.
Sure. There were a lot from that, but the one that kind of jumps out is there was a student who, at the beginning of the year, he was sort of challenging at times, and kind of would mix it up in the class a little bit. But then we put him in a position where towards the end of the year, we had these kids that actually were talking about changing things at recess. And these 1st graders then had to present to kindergartners how this was going to go down. And I actually caught on video the little 1st grader who was not really a leader, was more of a mix it up kind of student, was saying to his other his other classmates, listen, guys, these are going to be kindergartners. We got to be chill. We can't mess around with them, because they really got to understand what we're doing. My caught on video was great, but it was like, that was all the assessment I needed. The amount of growth that child had in that situation was better than any data point or test score could ever show us. And it was just that little thing that happened from a little tweak. So yeah, it was powerful. Anytime you're doing authentic learning experiences, you get chills from the authentic assessment that happens. And it's something that it's something you have to feel. You have to feel it and see it. So yeah, absolutely. The people on this call are gonna do great things this year. And one thing I would say, Kathy and Ellen, is I encourage everybody on here to put in for a presentation next year to show some of the things you tried, because that's how we're going to change things.
That's right.
Is if we see what it looks like.
Absolutely. We couldn't agree more. We could not agree more. Thank you all for your energy and your time. And you can take the next 15 minutes or so, 13 minutes or so, and consider them yours with a gift wrapped from us, and consider your work well done today. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Your papers that are coming in are amazing, by the way. They're wonderful.
We had a request about if you have some questions about the course requirements, just stay on for a few minutes and I'll go over them. Simple. Reflection paper, 25 hours on your log. But if you want to stay on, we'll stay on. So have a good start to the school year, everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye. Thank you, guys. It was great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.